Only dark chosen ones feel these three vibrations. Do you? I'm going to ask you something that may shake you to your core. Have you ever felt something, an invisible pressure, not just in your mind but in your bones? Something that no one around you could detect, but you knew it was real. If you've ever sensed a vibration, a frequency that made your soul itch while the world stayed oblivious, then maybe, just maybe, you are one of the dark chosen ones. This isn't about being evil or broken. This is about those of us who were born different, wired to hear the whispers in the silence, to feel the tremors in the unseen dimensions of existence. We aren't cursed, we aren't mistaken, we are tuned to something most people will never understand. From the very beginning of my journey, I knew something was off. Not about the world, but about how I experienced it. I would walk into rooms and feel things, dense, cold energies, or waves of melancholy that had no explanation. And for the longest time, I thought I was crazy, but I wasn't. I was plugged into the hidden infrastructure of reality, and no one had given me the manual.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
You see, out of the billions of people walking this earth, only a few ever awaken to the truth that there are vibrations, energetic codes, that are not meant for the masses. They are encrypted frequencies sent out by the universe itself, and only those with a certain spiritual DNA can pick them up. These are the vibrations of the dark chosen. Not darkness in the sense of evil, but darkness in the sense of depth, the place where the light cannot reach, where truths hide, and where power sleeps. These vibrations are not given to the light-hearted. They are earned through pain, isolation, and the relentless pursuit of meaning in a world that often seems meaningless. The first vibration is the vibration of void. It creeps in during moments when everything seems still, when you're lying in bed at 3 a.m. and the silence becomes too loud. It's not anxiety, it's not fear. It's a hum beneath your thoughts, a deep, vast nothingness that calls to you. Most people run from it. They fill the void with noise, distractions, endless scrolling, and shallow conversations. But if you're one of the chosen, you feel compelled to enter it. This void, this vibration, is the universe's way of calling you back to the source. It asks you, are you willing to lose everything you think you are to discover what you truly are? And once you answer yes, you begin to transcend the illusion of time, identity, and even desire. You enter the sacred darkness, not to escape the light, but to understand its origin. I remember the first time I surrendered to the void. I was sitting alone in an abandoned monastery in the mountains of Nepal. The silence was so thick it felt like a living being. My heart was racing, not because of fear, but because I knew something was about to happen. And then it did. My thoughts stopped. My identity dissolved, and for a brief moment, I became the silence. I heard no voice, saw no visions, but I felt the vibration of the void itself. It was a presence older than time, wiser than any scripture, and more compassionate than any god. And it whispered into the marrow of my being, you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to awaken. And that's when I realized the first sign that you are one of the dark chosen is your relationship with emptiness. You don't shy away from it, you need it. You crave the silence others fear. You find wisdom in loneliness. You gain strength in the shadows. Have you ever questioned why you feel more at peace when you're alone? When the lights are dim? When the noise of the world fades away? That's not depression. That's your soul returning to its natural habitat. The second vibration is the vibration of disruption. This one is more violent. It's when your soul begins to reject everything fake, plastic, and programmed. You'll find yourself losing friendships, questioning your career, despising the things you used to enjoy. At first, it feels like life is falling apart, but in truth, it's falling into place. The vibration of disruption is the universe's way of shaking off the illusions that have calcified around your spirit. It's painful. You might cry, you might scream, you might feel like you're dying, but what's really happening is your rebirth. You are not here to live a scripted life. You are not here to be a slave to social norms. You were chosen to break the game from within, and sometimes that means being misunderstood, ridiculed, or even exiled. But let me ask you this: would you rather be accepted for who you are not, or rejected for who you truly are? The dark chosen always choose the latter, because we know deep down that truth is the only freedom. When I went through my own disruption, I lost everything: friends, money, reputation. But I gained something far more valuable: clarity. I saw through the lies. I realized how much of my life had been constructed by fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being different, fear of failing. But when everything burned away, I found something unshakable at the center of my being. I found me. Raw, unfiltered, and terrifyingly powerful. And here's something most people will never tell you. The dark chosen are often born into pain. Trauma is not just an accident in our lives. It's an initiation. It tears open the veil of illusion early, forcing us to confront truths that others avoid their whole lives. But this pain, if you lean into it, becomes your compass. It shows you where your wounds are, and in those wounds lie your greatest gifts. The third vibration is the vibration of remembrance. This one is subtle, sacred. It doesn't come in dramatic bursts. It comes in soft echoes, like déjà vu layered in emotion. You'll be walking down a street and suddenly feel like you've been there before, not physically but spiritually. You'll hear a song and it will move you to tears without reason. You'll meet someone and feel like you've known them for lifetimes. This is the vibration of remembrance. It's your soul remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. It's your ancient self calling out through the noise of modernity. Many chosen ones feel this in childhood. They see spirits. They dream of other realms. They speak truths that adults find unsettling, but they are often silenced, medicated, or labeled as too sensitive, and so they forget. But as the vibrations return, the memories awaken. Not memories of events, but of truths. You start remembering what it means to trust your intuition. You begin to feel the presence of your ancestors, your guides, your higher self. And here's the paradox. The more you remember who you truly are, the more the world becomes unrecognizable. You begin to see the masks people wear, the lies they tell themselves, the fear that drives their choices. You don't judge them, you understand them, but you no longer belong to their system. You were not made for comfort, you were made for transformation. So I ask you again, have you felt these vibrations? The void that pulls you inward, the disruption that tears your life apart, the remembrance that brings you home? If so, you're not broken. You're not lost. You're exactly where you need to be. Now breathe. We've only just begun. The forbidden pulse of the universe when darkness whispers back. There comes a moment on this path, quiet but undeniable, when the darkness stops being a passive presence and begins to speak. Not in words, not through visions, but in pulses, in vibrations, in a knowing that bypasses logic and punches directly through the walls of your conditioned mind. If you felt this, you know what I'm talking about. It's not fear, it's not comfort, it's something else. Like the universe is breathing through you, like truth is trying to erupt from within you. In that moment, you realize the darkness isn't empty, it's alive, and it's been waiting for you to notice. That's what we mean when we talk about the forbidden pulse. It's not forbidden because it's evil, it's forbidden because it liberates. And in a world built on control, nothing is more dangerous than true freedom. This pulse doesn't come to everyone, it's not handed out like candy. It comes to those who have endured the collapse of everything false, those who have stared into the abyss and didn't blink, those who chose to keep feeling when it would have been easier to numb out. The pulse finds you when you've become empty enough to be filled with something real. I remember the exact moment it whispered back. I was in the middle of a 9-day fast, deep in the desert, surrounded by nothing but wind and stars. My body was weak, but my spirit was sharp, raw, alert. Every sound, every shift in the air felt like a message, and then I felt it. A wave, a pulse, not outside of me but inside my skin, like the rhythm of an ancient drum vibrating against my ribs. My breath caught, and I knew without a doubt something was communicating with me, something cosmic, something that had no name but infinite intelligence. It didn't say hello. It didn't give me answers. It reminded me of things I had never learned but somehow already knew. And that's the paradox of the dark chosen ones. We are here to remember what the world wants us to forget. We are here to feel what most people spend their lives avoiding, because buried inside those feelings are keys, codes, activations. Think about it. Why do you think you've been through what you've been through? Why do you feel deeper than others? Why does beauty make you cry and silence make you tremble? You are not weak. You are not too much. You are plugged into a reality that most people cannot sense. And the reason it hurts is because you haven't been given the tools to understand what you are. Let me give you one right now. When the pulse begins to whisper, don't run, don't analyze, don't distract yourself. Sit in it. Let it shatter your identity. Let it burn away your masks. Because what's left after the fire, that's the real you, the eternal you. The you that doesn't need validation or permission. The you that remembers lifetimes, that channels truths, that bends timelines with your thoughts. You've always had this power, you just forgot. And here's the part no one likes to hear. The awakening is not a gentle process, it's a death. A series of deaths, of who you thought you were, of who others wanted you to be, of the illusions that kept you small. That's why the second vibration, the vibration of disruption, is so violent. It's not the universe punishing you, it's the universe freeing you. But freedom isn't comfortable. It's raw. It demands everything. It asks you to choose truth over convenience, alignment over acceptance, soul over ego. So let me ask you something impossible. What if your pain wasn't the enemy? What if it was the invitation? What if the moments you thought were breaking you were actually sculpting you into something unimaginable? What if your loneliness was the echo of your higher self calling you inward? What if your anxiety was your soul rejecting the life you were never meant to live? What if all this time the darkness wasn't trying to destroy you, but awaken you? You see, once you feel the forbidden pulse, you can't unfeel it. It becomes your compass. And as terrifying as that sounds, it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever experience. 'Cause it means you're not asleep anymore. It means the veil has been lifted. It means you're finally living a life that feels like yours. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. Being one of the chosen means walking paths others can't see. It means hearing truths in silence, seeing lies in the light, and feeling connections that defy logic. It means learning to trust yourself more than the world. But it also means living with a depth most people can't even imagine. It means waking up every day not just to survive, but to remember, to listen, to feel, to be. You're not here to fit in, you're here to transcend the sacred pain that unlocks your otherworldly power. There's something they won't teach you in schools, temples, or most spiritual circles: the truth about pain. Not the kind of pain that breaks bones or bruises skin, but the sacred pain that tears open your soul, that divine ache you've carried for most of your life, that sense that you don't belong, that you're too sensitive, too intense, too much. But what if I told you that this pain isn't a flaw in your design? It is the design. What if the very thing you've been trying to numb, hide, or heal is actually the portal to your highest power? For the dark chosen ones, pain is not an obstacle, it's an initiation. It's the sacred fire meant to burn away the false self so that the true self can emerge. And it's not random, it's coded, intelligent, purposeful. You were never meant to be numb. You were meant to feel through the pain until you found the truth buried inside of it. That's what separates the chosen from the sleeping. While others avoid, escape, and distract, we enter, we feel, we sit in the storm until the storm recognizes us. When I finally stopped resisting my pain, when I stopped trying to fix it and instead asked it what it came to teach me, everything changed. I began to see my wounds not as evidence of my weakness, but as doorways into dimensions of power I had never accessed before. Each heartbreak, each betrayal, each breakdown was a key, and with every key, another illusion fell away. My pain was not my punishment, was my teacher, and it was sacred. But here's the paradox that only the initiated understand. The deeper the pain, the higher the calling. If you've lived a life filled with chaos, misunderstanding, deep emotional currents, you're not cursed, you're chosen. You've been given a fast track into awakening, but only if you stop running from the fire and start walking through it, because it's in that fire where you meet your shadow. And inside your shadow is the part of you that holds the codes to your power. The shadow is not your enemy. It's the part of you that was exiled so you could be accepted. It's the wild, intuitive, untamed brilliance that the world told you to suppress. But when you reclaim it, when you integrate your sacred pain, you become whole again. And wholeness is power. Not the kind of power that dominates or controls, but the kind that radiates. The kind that bends reality around your vibration. The kind that speaks without speaking. The kind that changes people just by standing in the same room as you. Have you ever noticed how people either gravitate toward you or get uncomfortable around you for no logical reason? That's not just your personality, that's your aura. your energy field. It's the result of the inner work you've done, the pain you've transmuted, the shadows you've integrated. You've become a mirror, and to some, that mirror is too much, because it reflects back everything they're not ready to face. But to others, you are a lighthouse, a guide, a reminder that something else is possible. And this is where your sacred pain becomes your sacred service, because once you've crossed the threshold, once you've embraced your role as a dark chosen one, your presence becomes medicine. You begin to attract others who are awakening, others who are hearing the same vibrations you once thought were yours alone. And suddenly your pain becomes purpose, your suffering becomes story, your darkness becomes light, not the blinding kind, but the kind that glows from within and cannot be extinguished. Let me ask you this. What if you stopped trying to heal into someone else's version of wholeness? What if your scars were not just reminders of what you've survived, but proof of what you've become? What if your pain wasn't meant to be erased, but woven into your power? You don't need to be fixed. You need to remember. You need to reconnect with the ancient intelligence that lives in your bones. You need to trust that your sensitivity is your strength, that your intensity is your clarity, that your weirdness is your wisdom. Because when you do, when you truly own who you are, the universe responds. The vibrations get louder, the synchronicities accelerate, the path becomes unmistakably clear. We were never meant to walk this path like everyone else. We were meant to feel more, see more, be more, and yes, it's heavy, but it's also holy. Because when you finally stop trying to escape your sacred pain, you unlock the door to your otherworldly power. You stop imitating life and start creating it. You stop surviving and start channeling. You become the alchemist, the oracle, the storm, and the stillness. And that's when the real journey begins, the final initiation. When you become the vibration itself, there is a moment after you've burned in every fire, after you've walked through every shadow, after you've surrendered everything you thought you were, when something quiet and almost unnoticeable happens. You stop searching, you stop reaching, you stop trying, and instead you become. Not in a dramatic explosion, not in a ceremony, not in front of others, but in the stillness of your own being. In that sacred silence, you realize you are the vibration itself. This is the final initiation of the dark chosen, the final crossing. The moment you no longer chase signs or synchronicities, because you have become the sign. You no longer need to feel the void, the disruption, or even the remembrance, because now you are the source from which those vibrations emanate. It's no longer about what you feel, it's about what you radiate. And this is where the true spiritual power begins, not in what you know, but in what you embody. When you reach this level, you don't need to speak. Your presence is the message. People feel you before you enter the room. Animals respond to you. Children stare at you. Strangers either open up to you or avoid you entirely. You have become a living frequency. And this frequency is not taught or studied, it's earned. Through pain, through devotion, through radical honesty with yourself. But here's what no one tells you. Once you become the vibration, you don't escape the world, you enter it fully. You see the pain of others not as something to pity, but as something to honor. You witness the unconscious behaviors of society and feel no judgment, just compassion. Because you've been there, You've lived in the fog, you've believed the lies, and now that you've awakened, you realize your role is not to preach, but to live truth so deeply that it becomes contagious. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to prove anything. You just exist, and your existence recalibrates the space around you. This is the paradox of being a dark chosen one. You were initiated through darkness only to carry a light that is invisible to most. It's not the kind of light that blinds or dazzles, it's the kind that reminds. That resonates in the bones of those ready to awaken. You become the echo of a truth many have forgotten, and in doing so you fulfill your purpose, not as a savior, not as a guru, but as a mirror for others to find themselves. Let me leave you with this. You didn't come here to conform. You came here to collapse the illusion from within. You didn't come to be loved by everyone. You came to love yourself so completely that others remember how to do the same. You didn't come to fit in. You came to vibrate at a frequency high enough to shake the system until it cracks open and lets the light in. So if you felt the void, the disruption and the remembrance, if you've hurt, cried, screamed into the night, wondering why you feel so deeply, why you see what others ignore, why you carry this weight, know this: it's because you were never meant to be anyone else. You were meant to be you fully, fearlessly, and unapologetically. And now the world is waiting for your vibration. It's not your perfection, not your performance. In your presence, you are the vibration. Welcome home.